Dave, mi amigo, what is the crack, man? Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I'm buzzing to be here.
Great stuff, my friend. Great stuff. Well, this podcast is about pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of in the limited amount of time we're given. And you seem to be doing a great job with that, man. More specifically in the online fitness
Thank
space.
you.
So, could you give us a few insights into your
Thanks very much.
backstory and how you got into this space in the first place?
Yeah, of course. And thanks for your kind words. That really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, just trying to build it up. So just to give a little bit of a background, I guess. I was always kind of the fat kid out of my friendship group all throughout my teenage years, which was really difficult at times. I remember going through some really rough spaces during that period of kind of like secondary school all the way up until I left school. And then, as we were discussing before, I kind of went from there into and did like a business degree, worked for a big company called Nestle. I'm sure you've heard of them, and did like a sponsored degree program. And then all throughout that time, I was really kind of getting into my fitness more from like a personal perspective, just to kind of help my own physical and mental health. Really kind of fell in love with the gym throughout that time. And then whilst this was going on and going through my course, I kind of realized that I didn't want to work in the corporate world. I'm really sportive, really active, and kind of wanted to have a job that helped people, even if it wasn't as well paid as what I was currently doing. It was really important to me to have a job that added value to other people. So then I thought, what is that? That could be a PE teacher, but then ultimately I had a business idea which was all around kind of, because obviously you've got a lot of online personal coaches that actually coach people in terms of that's what their job is, but I kind of recognized that nobody was really doing that with casual sports. And as a guy that loves literally any kind of sport, grew up all my life playing football, really like tennis and any kind of racket sports and running and all these kind of things that's not just weightlifting. I was like, if I can create some kind of business where people can get together, then meet up, do sports events, but also social events as well in that kind of space, then I think that could potentially have a lot of potential. So during COVID, as I'm sure it did with a lot of other people, that kind of sped that up, and I kind of realised that I didn't want to do that. So then I left, did about a year and a bit of in-person personal training, went travelling for 8 months, which is something that I always wanted to do since I was 18, so saved up for that, and then came back and decided I would go all in on the online coaching stuff. So when I came back, I literally spent all of my money whilst travelling, so I had to do a little bit of in-person personal training, kind of like May to August last year, and then went all in on creating content. I've posted pretty much every single day since May the 2nd last year, 2023, and then went fully online in August and haven't looked back since. And as you say, it's gained a little bit of traction, and yeah, we're going fully in on that. So that's kind of whistle stop tour. It's kind of was a fat kid, got interested in my own fitness, and then now kind of recognised that I was in a position where I could help other people, and that started with just friends and family, and then colleagues at work, and then I actually, like, even though I was doing it for free and had this other paid job, I was like, wow, this is something that really means a lot to me. I really can add a lot of value here. And then now it's snowballing, and yeah, do it full time, which is crazy. And I'm sure for a lot of people listening out there, it's kind of one of those things that I never really thought I'd be an online coach or personal trainer, but as your life goes on, you kind of fall into these things, and now the opportunity's coming, I'm grabbing it with two hands.
Unreal, unreal, my friend. And it's crazy how one decision can completely change the entire trajectory of your life. And that seems to be the case with you for sure. I think when it comes to success in many facets of life, a great way to go about it is to get the results first for yourself and then help or teach other people to do the same. You were saying that your first post was on Instagram. When was it? The 2nd of May last year. So I was just kind of
Right?
wondering
Correct,
what
yeah.
what inspired you to start sharing your fitness journey on social media and to start providing people with value and with online fitness tips.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and it's one that kind of, so I really enjoyed the in-person personal training, but obviously, when you are doing that, you only have a set amount of hours in a day, and you can only help a set amount of people, and that could be a maximum of 10 people in a day. And I was like, this is really good. I was getting great results from our in-person clients, and then I recognized, if I want to scale and help more people, which is the ultimate goal, right? We all want to help as many people as we can. I was like, if I want to do this, I online is the space to do that. And obviously, being interested in fitness myself, a lot of my Instagram feed and social media was obviously seeing a lot of these fitness influencers, coaches online, James Smith, Sean Casey, Jordan Sayat, Ben Carpenter, like all of these people in the fitness space that I see were having a lot of success, a lot of growth. And that kind of really inspired me to kind of be like, okay, so these guys are doing it, the least I can do is try. And if it goes and it fails, absolutely fine. I can live with that. But yeah, I guess you never know if you try. And kind of, I was absolutely shitting myself. Sorry if you can't swear on this podcast.
Go for
In
it.
the offset. But just like anything. Just like anything that you do, you just kind of have to recognize that you will be bad in the start. And just like, when you're starting up your podcast or going to the gym or running or whatever it would be, and what you kind of got to say to yourself and others as well is, don't judge me on my first one, judge me on my 1,000th, because it's after you've put those reps in, then that's when the experience, the knowledge, the habits, that's when they really come into play. So, there is always a little bit of friction at the start whenever you start. It's exactly the same with me with content. But, the more that you do it, the more that you put the reps in, you just get better and better with each one. So that's what I think, has been a big learning for me, and anybody out there that's listening and thinking of doing the same, just understand that you will be bad for the first 1, 10, 100, whatever it is. But by the time the 1,000s come, you're going to be absolutely flying.
That's so true, man. It's just a skill. I keep repeating this, but I think it's so important. Like everything is a skill, and especially a skill you haven't done before. You're obviously going to be bad at the start, and I think if you can just align your expectations to say, "Hey, this is what's supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to be really natural, really comfortable at doing something I've never done before at the start." As you said, judge me on my 1,000th. Don't judge me on my first. I seen the other day as well
Bang on, mate.
that something kind of sparked my curiosity that the online fitness market is projected to grow to 59 billion by 2027. Why do you think, in your opinion, is there
Well,
such a high demand within this industry? Like, why do people struggle so much to reach their goals on their own?
yeah, and this is a great question, and I think it's very multifaceted. So I think, the first point in that about why maybe the online space is becoming the go-to place is because, one, it's so accessible to everybody right now. But I honestly think that COVID has brought the industry forward by about 5 years, because
Yes.
obviously when we go with Wix, I mean, when we were when kind of everyone was in lockdown, and then the Joe Wicks workouts like that became such a thing, and then a lot of obviously coaches realized that they can move everything online. So why the online space in particular is growing, I think, is a fallout from obviously the years 2020 to 2021 to and beyond. Why the fitness industry is continuing to grow. I mean, it's a difficult one, because really, like, with so much out there, you think by now people should really know it's calorie deficit and all of this. But I
Yeah.
still think, because there is so much confusion out there, that is where maybe people struggle with as well. And obviously the information around health and fitness is growing, but also is the availability to junk food and takeaway and Uber Eats and all of these things. So just as easy as it is to get all of the information you need, it's even easier to sit on your ass in a sofa when you're hungover on a Sunday and order Uber Eats for breakfast, lunch and dinner and go from there. And obviously that means that you're not moving, you're going out from there, and yeah, so it's like as one industry grows, so does the other, and they're kind of combating each other. And I also think there is still a whole lot of misinformation about what people need to be focusing on. And when you've got people like Eddie Abu or or Mark Sedano that are like preaching all these carnivore things and like you need to do this, and then people try these extreme methods, which ultimately like nobody can keep them up for long term, or at least if you're just a regular person who's not that interested in fitness, if you start, a carnivore diet, no wonder you're going to be feeling disheartened when 3 months down the line you go out and it's your child's birthday and you want to have a bit of cake and then you fall off and you feel like a failure. So there's all these kind of conflicting diets and information out there, which then makes it harder. And it's not the individual's fault. It's the fact that there's so much information. People trying to sell these get fit quick schemes when ultimately finding a little bit of balance is going. So no, I went off on a bit as a tangent there, but hopefully that'll answer your questions a bit.
No, man, that was brilliant. That was brilliant stuff. A lot of key insights there, a lot of kind of golden nuggets as well. And I think for me anyway, the main two words that come to mind is accountability and sustainability. Someone to keep you accountable, but
Yeah.
also something you can keep up for the long term, because quick fixes, they're not sustainable and you're never going to be able to keep them up, especially with all these extreme kind of alternatives that are out there. And it's a funny one because in the past, I never would have considered getting an online coach. Like, partly because I was a brokey, which I still am to be fair, but even more so because I didn't understand like the potential gains or the progress that I was missing out by not having an online coach. So I guess why I'm trying to get at, was it the same for you kind of starting out on your fitness journey? Did you basically throw enough
Yeah.
shit at the wall before something sticked?
Yeah, so it's definitely, even as someone, with 3, 4 years of training experience under their belt, we can all get stuck in this trap where you're kind of going through the motions and then you just kind of like ticking away. And, a lot of my clients before, about half of them have relatively good training experience, but, they come to me and they're like, I'm just going, I go to the gym, I do, the same old way that I always have and always done. So what outsourcing that work to someone else does is, if I hired you to be my business coach, you would set me targets and you would make sure that you were checking up and give me that real direction, because it can get very easy. Like even as an online coach right now for my own training, it can be very easy for me to, after finish a program, I'm just like, okay, so it might be a little bit of time before I start the next one. I'm just going to go in, I'm going to do the exercises that I join when I know it's not particularly, the best thing for me, but it's the easy route, right? And when you sign up to a coach and you've got someone pushing that direction, like they are ultimately going to give you what is best for you, and they are going to push you to your limits to order. So when you are ready, you will go through a massive amount of growth period within that time. But it might not always align. So you might be going through a period where you've got a big change, you're getting married, you're having kids, you're moving house, whatever it is, and you might say to yourself, well, actually, sometimes that comes first, and that's totally fine. But if you are wanting, if I was wanting to, really focus on my physique and go from there, I would hire a coach, and there is no better thing to do than to hire a coach. If I wanted to really take my business to the next level, I would hire a business mentor or whatever it is. So if you are in a position where you can do that and you want to have that bit of extra direction and accountability, I think that no matter what level you're at, having a coach, having someone from a third party perspective where they don't care really about what, or they will consider, your life, but they will ultimately give you the perfect plan for you. And then it's up to you to go and execute that. When I think if you're kind of resting on your laurels and you're kind of just ticking through, then it is easy to do that. But a coach will really help you get out of that rut, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, my friend. And it's funny, like you can pay no matter what it is. It's business, if it's your physique, if it's your goals, like you can pay with money or you can pay with time. And if you pay with money, you'll get there faster. Like if you get the online coach, you'll get there faster. It'll probably be more enjoyable experience than trying to figure out everything on your own. It's the same with a business coach, as you were saying. But it's definitely, yeah, it's very insightful stuff. Just to move on in a bit of a different direction now, I wanted to get some insights into your social media journey. So you've built quite a
Hmm.
successful platform or following for yourself across many platforms, to to say the least. Just for example, on Instagram, you're sitting at 143,000. So you've obviously been very consistent over the last year, and it's definitely paying off, to say the least. Could you share your
Thanks,
biggest
man.
mistake over the last year of posting and how you have learned from it as a result?
Yeah, of course. So before what will lead me into my biggest mistake is I'm first going to tell you what has been, my biggest success factor, and that is posting every single day. So I think since last year I've missed 2 days of posting, and I've done like 540 posts in about it'll be about 400 days now. So, at the start I was posting twice a day, and that was at times where I didn't have a lot of online clients. So I was really able to go heavy. And I know not everyone listening to this will be in a similar position to do that. But when you have those quiet periods, you've really got to like knuckle down and see what part of the business you can push, whether that's content, whether that's, client acquisition, whatever it is. So for me, it was just staying consistent, making sure that I was posting every single day. Like, even I went through holidays, Christmas, even at Glastonbury, like had to take myself out of a dance tent and like go and post, and my mates were like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I've got to do this because this is a commitment that I've made to myself." Um, and for the first, and this is where it comes me to my mistakes. And at the start I was getting really downhearted because I posted 100 posts, which is over 3 months worth, and I gained like 0 to 527 followers. And the first 150 followers were all just my mates and people that I knew that were just following me to kind of support my page from the off. So I gained about 350 followers or even less, like within that first 3 months of posting. And then by then, like, I was getting a bit downhearted and like, really like, this is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to work. And for me, the biggest mistake there was kind of like, I was just getting like, I was putting less effort into my content. I was thinking I was getting like, really, like, if I posted and it got really low engagement, I was getting really down about it. But then kind of I used that mistake, and then I spoke to one of my mentors. I spoke to my family about it, and they were like, are you really committed to this? Because you are going to go through stages, and if you just, and I kind of heard this on a podcast, and I think it was one of Jordan Science, and he said, if you go out there and you post and you expect everybody to kind of just take off and like you straight away, like, that is a really arrogant thing to think. And I was like, that stung deep with me. I was like, oh wow. So like, I'm getting caught up in this and I'm doing all this, and I think that just because I'm posting every day, it's a given. So kind of from that, I was like, I really kind of like collected my thoughts and kind of like had a quiet word with myself. And I was like, all these content creators out there, what they are doing is they are putting hours and hours into making a video, and that will get easier for me as it goes. So I kind of really kind of used that. It really reignited the fire in my belly. I was like, okay, if you want to be a top quality content creator in this industry, you've got to make sure the production quality is good. You've got to get a good mic. You've got to get a good microphone, lighting. All of it is because all the best people out there, they are putting time, effort, money, resources into creating better content. So for me, that was the biggest stake. I was just kind of half-assing it, and I was like, no wonder I was getting the results. So then I kind of doubled down, made the investments, and to your point earlier, which I thought was really insightful, it's like either it's money or it's time. And I didn't have a lot of money at that particular moment, but what I did have, I was very time rich. So I really like, I studied, I like looked at other really good content creators in my industry, and I thought, what are they doing? And then with that time, I was able to use that and reinvest that back into my content. So I was able to kind of make that mistake that I was making and make that my biggest learning. And from then on, I was like really doubling down. I stayed consistent, and then for my next 100 posts, I'd grown to about 2,500, and then the next 100 posts, it was getting up to about 7,000, and then the next 100. So it was like kind of the snowball effect. But if I'd have
Yes.
just seen that and be like, I'm growing so slowly, my engagement was down, that could have been a very, very easy point for me to start. But then from there, I was like, I'm not even going to think about the engagement, whatever it is. I'm just going to commit to posting for another 30 days. and see what happens. And then I did that, and then finally it started getting some traction, and then I kind of used that learning, and I was like, okay, so if I really put the time, money, and effort in here, I can go from there. And then it's been like kind of the snowball effect. It kind of took me from May to the end of the year to get to 30,000, and then since the start of the year it's grown like another 110,000 just on Instagram. So it really is a snowball effect, and once it gets going, but if I'd it would have been very easy to stop at that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a really good quote that comes to mind, I think I heard it on the Daniel Dargan podcast. He said,
Yeah,
the day
absolutely.
the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. So good things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Consistency is king, and yeah, the snowball effect is real. Compounding interest is definitely a thing. So, and you're definitely a testament to that, my friend.
I mean, you've just summed it up perfectly in those.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get some insights into what motivates you to keep going, to keep pushing boundaries, to keep stretching the fabric. Like, what is your North Star and your vision for the future that drives you on a normal day?
Oh, mate, that's a really good question. And after I answer, I'd really love to hear yours afterwards as well. So,
Oh, lovely,
so
lovely.
you can have a little bit of thinking time as well. For me, as I said, so when I was going through the Nestle course, I actually watched this YouTube video, and it said to me the one of the key takeaways was the most impactful and rewarding career you can have is something that is helping others, right? And if you can dedicate your life to helping others, and you make that the sole purpose of your call and your values, like that is ultimately going to be the most rewarding thing. And that just resonated so much with me, and it took me a while to really understand the meaning of that, but once I was able to start helping other people and people giving me that feedback, like that just is the most rewarding thing. And as soon as you get the first clients in your belt and you're like, this is really helping, and then start producing content and people are like, I'm loving your recipes or whatever it is and your tips, and I've used it to lose X amount of weight in this time, and then just getting those messages just from random people on the internet, just to know that it's helping. Like that is really what drives me. And ultimately, once you start getting a few of those under your belt, you think, wow, this, what I'm doing can have a big impact. And ultimately, what I want to do in my life, and this is a quote from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, is like, you might only go through this place once, you might only come across this person once, so you just try and leave as much good as you can. And for me, I was like, oh my god, wow, that just literally changed the game for me. So that's all I'm trying to do, no matter who I speak to, no matter where I go. I just try to leave. Yes, honestly, the
Yeah.
GOAT book. If anybody
Yes.
out there hasn't read that,
What a book.
is literally life changing. Using the lessons from there, it is life changing. So that was been really good for me, and that's what drives me. And ultimately, the bigger the page gets, the bigger the thing. That means I can help more people, and that what really drives me. So yeah, that's mine, and I'd love to hear yours, mate.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. That's beautifully put together. I guess for me, I always kind of followed the crowd. I never strayed from the herd. I kind of felt like for so many years that I just found it hard to be myself. I felt like I was trying to fit into a mold that didn't fit. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up
Mm.
chasing the wrong traditional path that just was never meant for me. It was never going to work. So I obviously I was telling you before, I went to college, I did 5 years in Galway, studying biomedical science, and then I did a master's because that's what everyone does. You have to do a master's. If you don't do a master's, like you're a black sheep nearly. Like everyone's doing it. So I guess yeah, I fell into the trap, following the traditional path, and it led me to yeah, kind of a desperate place. It led me to a dark place mentally. And only through putting myself out there, only through overcoming my fears, have all of this negative thinking, all of this kind of past version of me, it's all disappeared. And I felt I've grown so much of a person as a person since I've put myself out there on social media since the end of last year. But I'd love if other people could experience the same kind of personal growth, personal development journey that I have over the last few months. And yeah, as you said, impact is definitely a big word. It's a buzzword, and I think it goes a long way. It carries a heavy punch. The more impact you can have during the short time that we're actually here, the better. So I think definitely with the reach and everything you can have with social media this weather, it's a golden opportunity in time. So yeah, I'm going to try my best to have as much impact as I can. But yeah, my friend, to finish things off, Dave, I think
Mate, that's class.
I think one little piece of life advice to finish things off. I know you gave lots of good nuggets there. I could definitely extract a lot of life advice from what you've said so far. But just one little last piece of nugget to finish this off. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice,
Go on,
what would it
mate.
be?
Mate, that is a great question, and I'm a sucker for a good quote, and I'm gonna hit the viewer or the listener with one that's really
Yes, yes.
impacted me as well. So I've heard this before, and so your success in life will be dictated by the amount of difficult conversations you are willing to have. And what that means is, you know in yourself, whether it's asking your boss for a raise, whether it's going out, whether it's, going to a car salesman, whether it's, with your estate agent or whatever it might be, all it is just a difficult conversation. And if you can put yourself out there and make sure you're having more difficult conversations and you are facing up to them, because the more you cower away from these, you will it will ultimately lead to you having to deal with more shit, and ultimately that shit will just snowball and snowball. If you kind of try and face away from a problem instead of steering into it, it will make the problem worse. So always remember this, that your life will be dictated by the amount of difficult conversations you're willing to have. And if you can face up to that and you can have those difficult conversations and you can use those as a chance for learning, I think that you will find a lot of value from that. And finally, my mate has said to me, pressure is privilege. And whenever I'm going through a tough time, I always remember, you are ultimately in this situation of pressure. And that is a privilege to you because you can help more people, you can earn more money, you can do X, Y, and Z. So that is a privilege. And although it can seem stressful at times, ultimately the fact that you can go through these and you have a roof over your head, you have food to eat, you can go through these difficult conversations, whatever it is, that is a real privilege that we as, people living in this country and beyond can have, and don't waste that opportunity. You have a real chance to impact a lot of lives, to help a lot of people, to do whatever it is you want to do. So yeah, use that privilege and take that forward in your life.
Diamonds, man. Diamonds that are made under pressure. Keep doing what you're doing.
That's it. That's it.
And, well, we'll leave it at that, man. That was really enjoyable. And thanks again so much again for coming on. A pleasure, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it and looking forward to another one.